Hey guys, it seems like a lot of self-care that gets preached is targeted towards women, and it's like face masks and taking bubble baths, which are two things that I particularly love. What do you mean a face mask isn't the only way to take care of myself? But there are times in my life, and I know probably in your life, that you don't really have time to do those things. So here's some practical self-care tips that you can practice every day that don't require you to have a ton of extra time. You can do them while you're being a busy person. Blasphemous. Rude. So the first thing I'm going to touch on is called sleep hygiene, and this does require a significant amount of time, but it is something that you should be doing every day, and it's going to keep your body functioning at its hopefully full capacity so that you can be more effective in your everyday life. So sleep hygiene, what the heck is it? It's when you go to sleep and wake up around the same time every single day. This is to help the hormones that you're releasing when you're going to sleep and waking up sort of be regulated and happening at the same time every day. Once you sort of get into a routine, you kind of get tired at the same time and you sort of start waking up at the same time every day. So for example, my sleep schedule is 11 p.m.-ish to 6 a.m.-ish. I do it, I get tired around 11 and I wake up sort of around 6. So I've been doing it for a couple months and it's working for me. I feel like I'm a little bit of a better person now that I'm getting a normal amount of sleep. Also, waking up at 6, it was hard at first, but sort of like once your hormones get used to that, I'm pretty productive at 6 a.m. and I can get up and get my things done now. So would recommend trying sleep hygiene. Also just good in general for your body. Okay, so the second tip is taking short breaks. So if you are studying for a long time or doing lots of work and you have a lot of stuff to do and you're going to do that in a super long period of time, I would recommend taking short breaks. There is a psychological phenomenon called chunking, and that just suggests that your brain learns better and retains information better when you approach that information in chunks. That's why it's called chunking. So this would just be like studying for an hour, taking like a 10 to 15 minute break, studying for another hour, or switching topics after you study for like an hour so that you can sort of move on to something else and then revisit what you were working on in the first place in a different time period. So that like helps your brain figure things out. Too much information at once, not good for your brain, not good for retention. So this is why it's probably not the best idea to cram for your tests. For another video. The third tip is taking longer breaks. So this is like once a week, taking a 2-hour period to do something that is refreshing to you or that makes you happy. It's like a hobby that you don't actually have time for during your normal weeks. And so this principle seems difficult and not super helpful, but I will give you a scenario that is generally used when preaching this to people, and it is the lumberjack example. So this is just like 2 sets of lumberjacks go out into the forest and their objective is to cut down as many trees as possible. Let's say that they both need to cut down 80 trees. They're both working with the same sets of tools. One set of lumberjacks the mindset is, I'm gonna cut down trees until I'm done and I'm not gonna stop for breaks because I wanna get this done as fast as possible. The other set of lumberjacks, however, takes breaks to sharpen their axes. So while the first group is not taking breaks and they're going as hard as they can all of the time, their axes eventually get dull and they're doing more work to cut down one tree than the other group who takes the time to sharpen their axe does. And so the second group is getting done faster and they're doing less work and they're more efficient because they're taking the breaks, not because they're pushing through and being resilient. So your brains and your body sort of work in the same way. So it's important for you, maybe it's not a 2-hour period, maybe it's a 1-hour period, maybe it's 35 minutes. It's important for you to take some time to sharpen your axe and kind of like come down from being super overloaded all the time. And that's going to make you more efficient, more effective, happier. Do you need more reasons? I get it. It's really hard, especially when you have a lot to do. It's hard to take care of yourself and prioritize yourself. But if you are having trouble making that decision and you're like, I have so much work to do, the benefit of being more efficient should be enough to lure you in. So I challenge you this week to take the time to sharpen your axe. Let me know in the comments what activity rejuvenates you. The fourth method of practical self-care is the 4-7-8 breathing method. This sounds cheesy and dorky and you're like, breathing's stupid. I don't do that. Who needs oxygen? ridiculous. 4-7-8 breathing technique is really easy and it actually works super well. You breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, breathe out for 8 seconds, and you just do it a couple of times. It's really, really helpful for like calming you down. I usually do this when I'm studying. This helps me take better notes. It makes me slow down and sort of like feel less anxious when I'm feeling overwhelmed. I do it before and during tests. You can do it in the bathroom, you can do it in your car, you can do it while you're walking to and in between classes. Actually, nobody watches you breathe. Like, that's an anxious thing that some people feel, or like, well, I don't want to like be breathing in public because then people are going to watch me. But they really don't. People don't care what you're doing with your mouth. The 5th tip, which takes time and some people aren't into, is exercise. But when you're feeling super stressed out, your body is releasing cortisol and a bunch of stress hormones, and those hormones were originally, from their evolutionary perspective, made for you to do the fight or flight response. And so fighting requires physical movement, flight requires physical movement. So it makes sense that if you're trying to reduce your stress, to sort of mimic that fight or flight response by just like getting some physical activity in. This does not have to be a 1-hour gym session. This does not have to be a 12-mile run. You could literally walk around your house twice. That's gonna relieve some of that and get it moving in the right direction. Your body knows what to do with it. We haven't gotten past that yet in evolution, so you just gotta work with what you got, and sometimes exercise can make that lesser. So I hope that some of these practical self-care tips are applicable to you. Let me know in the comments if you try some or if you have other practical self-care tips. And as always, please subscribe and give this video a like if you liked it. I will see you next week. Sing like no